The marketplace has easily been the most hated feature for the last couple of years. For those unfamiliar, it's an online store built into the game, where people can spend real money to buy DLC from partners that can consist of just a few people to entire development studios. If you're on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, or any other closed platform, it's the only way you can really install extra content for the game. You could probably understand why so many players are disappointed by this feature. On Java, it's pretty easy to download almost anything for free, while at best with Bedrock, you'll have to use third-party tools to install modifications. However, despite everything, I think that in some ways, this is actually a pretty neat feature, and maybe with some slight changes, it could even be a net positive for the game. I have to mention that this is an extremely delicate situation. Due to nearly a decade of predatory microtransaction practices from AAA publishers, gamers hate these kind of things more now than ever, and in many ways that is completely justified. It also does not help that Mojang is knee-deep in drama right now thanks to 1.19.1. First off, the most blatant problem I hear from users is the sheer amount of promotion that the marketplace gets. Normally, it's honestly not that bad, but whenever a major pack releases, it feels like you're getting ads for it all over Twitter, YouTube, and even the launcher. Then there's the actual prices of some of these packs that can make a few people raise their brows. Sometimes these prices are reasonable, $9 for a custom castle building game, okay. $17 for a full-on RPG with hundreds of functioning dragons? That's honestly really cool. These are just two examples though, and at least from what I've seen going through the shop, this is far from being the golden standard. For instance, the way that skins are sold seems a little weird to me. Most people that I know don't really change theirs all that much. Normally, you will find a skin that fits you as a player, and maybe swap it out every now and then. Over on Bedrock, if you want a certain one, you have to get the entire pack, and the price can vary wildly. $10 for 8 skins seems a bit pricey. $20 for 60 is significantly cheaper on average, but what if you only want one of the skins? To me, it seems like you're really just paying $20 for the few that you actually use. Still, it can get far worse, such as the $19 map IBX Toycat found that only consists of an in-game modern house. That's literally it. Sadly though, this is far from the only issues. The most appalling problem I've seen so far is yet to come. On December 19th, 2021, the YouTuber AntVenom posted a video that shined a light on how the Faithful texture pack was illegally stolen from its original creator and placed on the Minecraft marketplace for over 3 years. Luckily, it seems to have been taken down now, but for years, some scumbag I won't name received thousands of sales for one of the most popular resource packs out there. Later on in 2022, this blatant theft of copyright got worse when a team of creators posted a map that recreated the Aether mod for Bedrock. It was clear that a ton of work was put into the recreation of one of the greatest mods on Java, but they failed to actually get permission from Gilded Games, the company that owned the original mod. It's a worrying sign of how easy it is to just blatantly steal others' intellectual property and then sell it on an official online store that's meant to be heavily regulated. The most comical part about all of this is that King B-Dogs, one of the original devs for the Aether mod, couldn't do anything about it for weeks, despite himself being a Mojang employee. Alright, so with all that's currently been said, what's so great about the marketplace that it warrants me to not absolutely dunk on it like everyone else tends to? Well, we need to ask an important question. Are you subscribed? According to my statistics, only 1.3% of y'all watching will end up subscribing to my channel. So remember to like the video and subscribe. Chilling over, here's the real question I have for y'all today. Is it a bad thing that the content is paid? Well, I'd argue that that may not necessarily be the case. I'm not being sponsored by Microsoft to say this. If you've ever tried making art of any kind really, you've likely realized that it's far from an easy task. Resource packs, mods, and maps can take weeks, months, or even years to fully develop. Hours of time and effort goes into this stuff, and in a world where money dictates everything, the opportunity to be compensated for your work can help the artist greatly. often enabling them to complete bigger and better projects that you, the consumer, ultimately get to enjoy. When I see players criticizing the marketplace, they will often complain that most or all of the money is just going to some faceless corporate entity. However, these creators are normally just average people with a passion for drawing, coding, or building. For selling their projects on Minecraft Store, they get 50% of the revenue generated, with the rest going to Mojang, Microsoft, and any expenses there may be. Moving away from the third-party map makers, we'll need to take a look at how Mojang Studios themselves make money. For years, the sales of the game alone were more than enough to keep afloat and continue updating the game. However, over time, the increase in staff members, greater and grander updates, not to mention managing multiple games, well, it all starts to get expensive. Also, don't forget that not only does Mojang need to be able to pay off their expenses, they also need to make a profit for their corporate overlords, of course. Honestly, here's the unfortunate fact. The ultimate goal of every company is to make a profit. This applies to not just publishers, but developers too. And as many comments mentioned in my previous video, the nostalgic idea that Mojang is just some passion project made by a few introverted Swedish dudes has been dead long before Microsoft even bought them. My point is, if you have a fundamental problem with the idea that corporations have to make a profit, you'll have to explore alternative economic models. Okay, things are getting a little bit pessimistic, so I'll transition the segment to a more positive topic. One of the biggest problems I had with Bedrock Store in the past is that it was unfair to underprivileged kids who just wanted to have fun. Yet to my surprise, this isn't completely the case. If you're on Windows 10 or Pocket Edition, you can install external modifications in a similar way to Java. But even if you're stuck on the internal shop, there's over 100 different free packs, including hundreds of skins, dozens of maps, and plenty of texture packs. So if you're just now getting into the game and have no money, there's more than a few hours worth of content that you can jump into right away. I should also mention that premium DLC is kind of just a fact of life on consoles. Sony, Nintendo, and of course Microsoft have full control over what is allowed on their platform. Considering that they get a good cut of the profits from sales, it's heavily incentivized to push microtransactions onto games. Normally in my videos, I try to offer helpful solutions to the problems I talk about, but I'll be frank, the only way to stop closed platforms from monetizing as much as they can is to refuse to buy consoles so long as it happens. Sadly, that's really not likely to happen, in my opinion. If you haven't already picked up on what I'm trying to say, the in-game store we hate so much is a necessary evil. Well, probably not necessary, but it's an unavoidable problem. The only realistic solution we have is to try and limit its exploitative nature, while being as consumer-friendly as possible. I will also mention that in its current state, I don't think that the marketplace is that awful, but maybe it's just because of my perspective. Let's take a different look at how a different franchise monetizes their game. Your name is now Timmy. You bought the original Modern Warfare 2 for $60 and loved it. Timmy decided to buy Black Ops 1 for the same amount. Fast forward over a decade, and you're addicted. Timmy has already pre-ordered the new $120 version of Modern Warfare 2, a reskin of a reskin of a reskin of a remake of a remaster of a 15-year-old game. Now, not only did Timmy spend the $120, but there's also seasonal passes every few months. Oh, and countless paid cosmetics for your demonetization sticks and other such tactical armaments. Timmy looks over to someone else, named Jimmy. They bought Minecraft Xbox One Edition for $30 8 years ago. Jimmy got a few of the DLC, perhaps about $100 worth of skins, maps, and resource packs in total. You have spent thousands of dollars over the years to play the same basic concept for over a decade, buying just the game over 10 times. Jimmy has spent $130 in the span of 8 years, and only had to buy the game once. Of course, in a perfect world, neither you nor Jimmy would have to pay anything at all, but we do not live in such a world, so personally, I know who I would want to be. Now, if this was it, my like to dislike ratio would be absolutely awful. Thankfully though, I'm not going to tell you to just be happy with what you get and to not throw a fit. Because despite everything I've already said, the good and the bad, I've yet to talk about the truly ugly. The state of Minecraft on consoles and mobile devices is completely unacceptable for the amount of money it is making. Mojang considers Bedrock Edition to be the definitive version of the game, yet there's just so many bugs, glitches, exploits, and issues that it would be funny if it weren't so sad. I could spend hours making this or that claim, but I'm just going to state my own personal experiences. Over on the Switch, the sign-in page was effectively broken. While spending $10 a month on Realms, I dealt with constant lag and server downtime, even with just 2 people. On Windows 10, for whatever reason, it has a tendency to crash while I'm using OBS. And my only long-term survival world on Bedrock was corrupted after the update Aquatic Part 2. Speaking of which, is it just me, or are there way too many drowned? This video has had a lot of numbers up to this point, but I need to bring up one more statistic. In the span of only 3 months, Microsoft reported a net revenue of $350 million from the marketplace. Half of that goes to creators, but why isn't a massive chunk of that being put back into the version they consider to be the standard edition of the game? By the way, all this talk about money has got me thinking about my wonderful patrons and members, including Split, Caucasian Crustacean, Trash Never Dies, Stars, and Praxibetl. If you'd like to be part of this list, you know where to go. In my personal opinion, having an in-game store is not inherently a bad thing. It gives creators the opportunity to make money, keeps the free major updates coming, allows for extra content on closed platforms, and gives parents a safer option for their kid to be able to download these things without having to navigate through countless malicious ads. However, the fact that Mojang or Microsoft have seemingly refused to commit a significant enough amount of time towards fixing their game makes these microtransactions seem like a blatantly greedy cash grab. Look, I understand that the developers don't want to overwork their employees and have exceptionally high expectations from not only their publishers but also the community. However, Bedrock officially released 5 years ago, and the codebase has been in development for well over a decade. If the team doesn't want to fix their game, they shouldn't be making hundreds of millions of dollars from it. Going forward, it seems like 1.20 will be a massive update, whether that be for the end, a new dimension, or something else entirely. But assuming all goes well, and they can get it out in one patch, the next few versions should be almost entirely focused around bug fixing and stabilization. This is similar to what Java got in 1.15, which only added a few minor things, but fixed hundreds of bugs and made the game run significantly better. Odds are, most of y'all watching this video are in fact Bedrock players. If you've experienced many of the issues that I have, feel free to tell me your stories in the comment section, but also, you aren't completely helpless. The best option would probably be to go over to the Minecraft suggestions forum and ask for Mojang to fix the game. Another option is to make videos like I'm currently doing. If you need advice for that, feel free to check out my Discord server in the description and ask me any questions you may have. Finally, if you do currently spend money in the marketplace and are not happy with the state of Minecraft, you can boycott their services. Alright, well, if you enjoyed the video, I think you would also like my last video, Why Minecraft is So Terrifying, or the one before that, Is Microsoft Ruining Minecraft? Anyways, get ready for my next vid, it's gonna be a big one. See y'all later.